Hi, this is Mr. J, the one and only MGTOW the Joker, back with another video. Welcome again to another episode, and today I figure that we're going to have a conversation about this article I came across in Reddit. By the way, I am in Reddit as well at u/MGTOW the Joker. You can find the link in my channel along with my Twitter accounts, and today we were going to talk about an article I came across in the platform. How do you feel if you have an app that will prove sexual consent every time that you go out and you have one night stands in a party? Isn't that cool? Well, Australian police commissioner suggested a phone app that could be developed to document consent in a bid to improve conviction rates in sex crimes cases. And the Liberal Party in Australia exploded. Now, without further ado, let's get this video started.
You can play that game. Because you are a joke. You're a joker.
All right. Let me go ahead and start this video real quick. Hold on just a minute. All right, it says here, Australian police commissioner suggested people could use a smartphone app to consent to sex. The thing about it is that, let me give you the highlights. It says an Australian police commissioner wrote an op-ed, it's an opinion piece, suggesting creating a smartphone app to consent to sex. And then politicians and sexual assault advocates blasted the idea, saying it would make it harder for women to prove rape. And last thing, it says that amid the backlash, the commissioner said the app could be a terrible idea. So apparently, commissioner, he was trying to suggest something good about it, and so he doesn't get canceled and lose his job. You know, he say, well, you know what, it's a bad idea, don't worry about it. So without further ado, let me go ahead and just tell you what the insider said. So it says an Australia police commissioner has suggested people use a smartphone app to record consent to sex, BBC News reporting. In a Thursday op-ed in Sydney's Daily Telegraph newspaper, New South Wales Police Commissioner Mick Mueller compared the idea to using app to check into bars and restaurants during COVID-19 pandemic. That would be, that's reasonable. It says, just as we had to check in at a coffee shop to keep people safe, is there a way to consent can be confirmed or documented? Mueller wrote. Well, there could be a way, but I don't know if people will go for it. And, apparently he didn't. He said that he added in the op-ed that only tiny percentage of the reported sexual assaults end up with a successful prosecution. That's because there's no evidence. So if there's no evidence, then it's just crying wolf. Women would be crying wolf. And apparently with this app, then you can be able to have some type of evidence. So, but in turns, he said, in addition, he said, we need a discussion about innovative solutions and how we can gauge positive consent, he wrote. That's pretty cool. And then the police commissioner article provoked immediate backlash from politicians and sexual assault advocates who said the idea of a consent app was simplistic rather than innovative, and that it would protect the accused rather than the victims. Well, I don't think so. I don't know. It could be it could be simple. It's a simple thing that you could do. I mean, how much? I mean, do they want to say that these people want something more complicated than that? What could be more complicated than having to be able to attract and have a relationship and be able to be protected about it? But apparently, these people, what they want is to actually block the whole situation, because simple ideas kind of tend to work better than more complicated ones. But anyway, let's go ahead and continue reading. It says Rachel Bergen's co-founder of rape and sexual assault research and advocacy in the law lecture at Swinburne University of Technology, said fewer proposals show a lack of understanding about sexual violence. Why is that? Let's see. The reality is that people consent or agree to sex because they are coerced, forced, or there is a violence involved. And that's not true. Because most of the time, people consent. People, in my opinion, people consent for different reasons. It could be coerced, it could be forced, it could be violence involved, but also it could be consent. People may agree to do it. It's not a reality that people will consent or agree to sex because of those 3 different reasons. They may agree to have sex. You see, that's what I'm saying. So that is how these people are putting it together and block the whole situation out. Because listen, if you don't want to have sex, you don't want to have sex. That's fine. It doesn't matter. Yes, there could be a situation where most of the time, people get coerced or influenced or seduced, you see, and they agreed upon it. Or they could be forced, be fearful about it, and they could be agreed upon it. It could be good or it could be bad, but it's not a reality that people consent or agree to sex because of those 3 particular reasons. That's what I think. And it says Australian National Broadcasting Network, an app doesn't capture the nature of true consent. Why not? Why not? Okay, so it says Tanya Pilberick, a politician in Australia Labor Party, told The Guardian that the app was flawed because consent could be withdrawn. True, consent could be withdrawn. So the fact that you are signed in the beginning doesn't mean that you are up for everything that you partner suggests. Pilbersek said, adding, we really need to be teaching consent to our kids as part of a respectful relationship program that age is appropriate in our schools, in our homes. And that is true. That is a good idea, to be teaching kids about appropriate age, appropriate age kids about consent in relationship. But this first part where it says, so that the fact that you are signed up in the beginning doesn't mean that you are up for everything that your partner suggests, that I don't know about it. Because let's say, for example, you go ahead and let's say you're drunk, right? And you go ahead and because you're drunk, all of a sudden you come up and say, you know what, I am going to buy a car, and I'll sign all the paperwork and everything like that. Me drunk, right? Signing all the paperwork to buy a car. I got the money. I sign all the paperwork and I'm drunk. Without reading, because most of the time we sign papers without reading it. And there you go. There you have it. You got a car. All of a sudden you're sober and you figure out, wait a minute. What is this? Why am I having a car in here? You see, how would you act? What are you going to do? Are you going to go ahead and turn in the car after you bought the car under influence of alcohol? Or you just going to go ahead and stay with the car? I was like, I'm sorry. I don't want that car because I bought it under duress, under the influence of alcohol, and I didn't mean it. Here's your car back. Really? Are they going to return it back to you? No, I don't think so. So that's how I view it. But the thing about when they say we really need to be teaching consent to our kids, that I do agree. That I do 100% agree that kids with age appropriate should be taught to have a respectful relationship program in schools. That I 100% agree on that one. Let me see what else. It says a freelance journalist wrote on Twitter that such an app utility would be that a person with a power can later use it as evidence against a rape allegation, ignoring context, coercion, withdrawal of consent, etc. It is designed by men, really, to make it harder for women to prove rape. That is the point, to prevent those kinds of rape allegations. I mean, if you really want to have consent with somebody, you really want to have sex with somebody, it shouldn't be this difficult. And in my opinion, I don't think that women will go for it because I think the women will want to be protecting most women like to protect their identity, their perception, or their persona, or the way they see themselves in society. But the thing is that that is exactly the idea that we have. It's exactly the idea. And it's not because we don't want women, and I point out that we don't want women to prove rape. We just want to be able to protect ourselves from false rape allegations. We want the truth. We don't want nobody to come over here and say, "Oh, well, you raped me," without without knowing. Without knowing who the hell this person is. And now with the Me Too movement, that all of a sudden you have had sex with this women a long time ago. You have no idea where this women come from, and all of a sudden, oh wow, this guy. He has sex with me and he raped me and this, that, and the other thing. Really? That's not a good thing. With this Me Too movement, that all of a sudden 15 or 17 years after you have had, you don't even know this woman, and all of a sudden this woman come and submit a rape allegation that you have done, and that's not a good thing. You want to have something documented or something like that, in my opinion. Or you can also not have sex if you don't want to. It could be. Anyway, the day we continue on. It says the day the op-ed was published, Fuller already seen the backtrack on his proposal for a consent app. It says that the app could be a terrible idea, but now he's like retracting. But maybe in 10 years' time, that will be seen as a normal dating method. He said in an interview with Sydney radio station 2GB or 2 gigabytes, I don't know, on Thursday, per the Guardian. If you swipe left and right, and there's another option. If you want to have intimacy, well, there you have it. Yeah, I think that it would be good. It would be, in my opinion, would be another way for women to be accountable of their action. Since we're gonna take responsibility for our own actions as men, I think that is really appropriate that women also take responsibility for their own action. But you see, I was talking about Me Too, and this is what's going on. It says the police commissioner controversial suggestion for dealing with issues of consent came 3 days after thousands marched across Australia in protest against gender inequality and sexual violence and harassment. It says last month, from former Liberal Party staffer Brittany Higgins said an old male colleague who had not been publicly identified raped her at a Parliament House in a minister's office in 2019. So with 2021, we're 2021 now, and now it's 2019. So that would be about 2 years. 4 other women have since accused the same man of sexual assault. This is the reason why it is a good and appropriate to have things like that. Otherwise, you don't do it. You don't do it. And that's it. As an assault for harassment. And let me see what else. And last but not least, says an Australia Attorney General, Christian Porter, has been accused of raping a 16-year-old girl in 1988 when he was 17 years. Okay, the woman died by suicide last year. That is really bad. That's really bad. So I don't know. They try. What I'm reading here is that they're trying to accuse them or guilt trip them into believing that this woman had died because she was raped. Because it doesn't say anything else. It says Porter has denied the allegations and filed for the defamation lawsuits against the journalists who reported on them. So you see, that's the reason. That's the reason why you don't want to do. You as a male, you just don't want to mess up your life like that. And it's a good thing, they have a 1-800-HOPE assault hotline, national sexual assault hotline there, so you guys can, any women or female or male, can go out there and call in if they see any sexual assaults or things like that, watching it. But in reality, in my opinion, having sex is a very big responsibility, especially if you are studying and trying to progress in your life and trying to come up with something. And my suggestion is, like, as male and as a man, if you're a man, a young man that wants to go ahead and continue and have a good life, Focus on your priorities. Focus on your purpose in life. You know, if you focus on your purpose in life and be able to build yourself, you can be able to afterwards you build others. You know, that's what I tell my son most of the time, and my family, my daughters and everything, because I do have daughters, you know. But yeah, I told them that you gotta be able to build yourself first, and be able to, so you can then later on you can build others. And that's how I do it. Focus on your on your purpose. Be able to build yourself. Be able to be able to uphold yourself, and forget about relationship at this time. If you're a young man listening to me, well, that's it, my friends. I hope you like this video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification for more content like this. This is mgtowthejoker, and I'll see you in the next one.
Two can play that game. Because you are a joke. You're a joker.